The history of the X-302 Hyperspace Fighter. The X-302 Hyperspace Fighter was Earth's second attempt at constructing a combat-capable spacecraft. It was developed using recovered alien technology at Area 51. Unlike its predecessor, the X-301 Interceptor, the craft was built entirely using technology developed on Earth or reverse engineering from goa'uld equipment. While its overall shape still resembled the goa'uld Death Glider that had been modified into the X-301, the X-302 was powered by a pair of jet engines with modified aero spikes for use in high altitude, plus a rocket booster for use in outer space. Unlike other Earth jet fighters, the X-302 incorporated internal dampeners that allowed the pilot to accelerate and maneuver much more sharply, without fear of blacking out. Also, the craft incorporated a Naquadah-based hyperspace window generator intended to make it Earth's first interstellar vehicle. Apparently, the X-302 had weapons as well. Whether or not these corresponded to the armaments of the production model F-302 fighter is unclear. The X-302 was a few weeks away from a practical hyperspace test when the goa'uld system lord Anubis launched an attack on Earth using a Stargate destroyer. Unable to dial out due to the fact that the SGC Stargate had an active wormhole, Colonel Jack O'Neill and Major Samantha Carter took the X-302 out on its maiden flight, intending to use its hyperdrive to reach Abydos, from which they could use the Stargate and ultimately contact the Asgard for assistance. Unfortunately, the flight, designated Abydos 1, had been aborted when the hyperspace window generated by the X-302 proved to be unstable. Subsequent research confirmed that due to the inherent instability of the Naquadah, using the hyperdrive to reach a specific destination was impossible. Nevertheless, after efforts to shut down the Stargate prior to its detonation failed, it was decided to use the X-302 to remove it from the Earth, but as the X-302 was not designed to carry a 64,000-pound payload, it had to be quickly stripped of all of its unnecessary weight. Its weapons, some life support equipment, radar, and some of its crash safety mechanisms. The landing gear had to be removed as well, so it could incorporate the mounts for the Stargate. As a result, this mission, designated Starflight, was always intended to be the X-302's last. The X-302, with Jack at the helm and also by himself, was carried by a Boeing 747 to an altitude of 10 kilometers, then released to climb the rest of the way up on its own. Unfortunately, the weight of the Stargate proved to be too great, and the plane ran out of fuel before it could reach escape velocity. While falling back to Earth, O'Neill suggested using the hyperdrive, which would at least get the soon-to-explode Stargate well away from the planet. After a suggestion by Jonas Quinn, the drive was modified for an extremely short trip, thus minimizing the instability of the Naquadah. O'Neill ejected immediately before the hyperspace window, which successfully carried the X-302 more than 3 million miles away from Earth. The Stargate then exploded, destroying the craft, while ultimately saving Earth from destruction. Despite the loss of the first prototype, the X-302 performed well enough for the craft to quickly enter production as the F-302 Fighter Interceptor. Even the hyperdrive, modified for short bursts rather than interstellar travel, was included in the production model vehicles. Thank you for watching the history of the X-302.